I think it's very important so that you guys can get an idea of who we are and what you may be able to tax our brain with this evening. As mentioned, everywhere and wherever you would have been invited to this event, this is part three of the much anticipated and appreciated topic of the subdivision of land and its requirements, or subdividing lands and its requirements. We definitely would have had, I would have had fun on the past two that we have already hosted. I don't know how my other presenters feel, but I especially look forward to this part three because this one we essentially have all our presenters finally here together to sort of culminate all the information that we would have given you in part one, mainly the legal and policy and real estate aspect of this topic. And then in part two, we went to the civil engineering and project management and surveying physical part of this topic. And then this evening what we are seeking to do is essentially bring all that information together. Hopefully we stay within our hour limitation and really get an overview of it in its entirety and bring relevant information that will be able to help you understand your understand the requirements and how you can practically get it done. All right. So let's get right into it. The first thing I would like to start off with, and I think is where this entire discussion needs to start, is with the title of lands and land ownership. All right. And that is where, regardless of what type of lands you may have, if you would like to subdivide it or cut it, so to speak, is another word we can use, you must deal with the title document. It is an inevitable feature of this entire process. You cannot legally transact a subdivision. You cannot successfully complete a legal subdivision transaction without talking about title documents. And that may mean a deed and or certificate of title. And as we previously would have mentioned, the difference in these two title documents has to do with the system of registration under which your land was registered. And what do we mean by in Trinidad and Tobago? There are primarily two land registration systems. The old law system, and for the purpose of everyone here, I brought some examples so you can physically see what we're talking about. So this is an example of a title document. That's what we call it. Under the old law, you will have a deed. All right. And this is what a deed generally would look like. Yes, and it references itself as just that. You will see this deed and the date it is mentioned and the parties, right? A deed is often in legal paper and have several sections to a deed, much of which you guys may not care to go through this evening. But what is most important, the part of the deed that is affected by subdivision is the scheduled part of the deed, right? Forgive my exhibit here, I have a lot of markings for a client. But the schedule part of a deed will speak of the deed's features, its size, its boundaries, the neighboring parcels, and it must match up to what is often illustrated in a subsequent plan or drawing to show the same. All right. And that is the part that we're going to be talking about this evening. And thankfully, one of the deeds that I have with me here illustrates exactly that what we are talking about. Right. I have two of the types for you guys to see. So this deed here, the front part is spoke of itself as a deed. I would have showed you the schedule that speaks about the physical part. And then oftentimes it's a deed. The schedule that I just showed you has to match up this. I don't know if you guys are seeing. Right? This is called a sketch, a plan, a drawing, or a cadastral sheet. All right? And it is referred to in the schedule part of a deed as well. It is referred to as a general plan. In your schedule part, you will see the general plan. Now, this is a very good example of a deed because this particular parcel would have been excised or cut out from a bigger parcel. If you guys could see again my example, how well are you all seeing this? Is it helpful? You would see that this person would have had pieces that they numbered, lots 28, 29, so forth and so on. And it would have been a survey that was registered. You see in that word registered there? Stamp from Lands and Surveys, right? And then this verifies the plan. Now, this is not town and country approved. And so that is what we want to discuss today because there has been some confusion in that. These people, because their lands fell under the old law or deeds, they required, yes, to get a cadastral sheet or a plan or drawing to match their schedule description of the cutting of the land. But because they are under the old law, this subdivision did not need necessarily town and country approval for subdivision. However, if your lands fall under the RPO and you have something called a certificate of title, the back of your CT would look something like this. And this is what we call upstampings, right? It illustrates each new transaction that would be done. And anytime your lands are under the RPO system, you are required. It is not something you could do, and if you feel like it or you want to save money on it, it is a requirement for you to have approval for subdivision by the Town and Country Division.